Hello, hello, my magical friends. Welcome to another Witchful Ways podcast episode. This is Annika. I offer you the insight, guidance, tools, and an amazing membership to allow you to live a magical life every single day. So we are in October. We are in the season of the witch. We are midway through October, so we're getting very close to Halloween and or Samhain, depending on your path, right? So today I wanted to talk a little bit about Halloween season, your intuition, and what exactly is the thinning of the veil? What does that mean? And then give you a couple things that you can do both to enjoy your intuition and to explore the thinning of the veil and how you connect to that as well, to allow you just kind of get into the feel of things, right? This season and any season actually, but Halloween season especially, Samhain, right? It is an invitation. It really is explore everything that you've been curious about. You get to grow in new and exciting and different ways. You get to learn things. You can begin to get yourself into a habit of bringing magic into your everyday life, right? Living a magical life every single day. That's what I am all about. So the witches come out of the woodwork during Halloween season, during Samhain, right? And let me start out by saying Halloween and Samhain are not interchangeable. Halloween is a day and Samhain is a season that lasts a couple of days. And actually, Samhain is November 1st. That's if you follow certain traditions, right? Okay, so let's go into what is your intuition. Your intuition, of course, is your inner knowing of things that are in the unseen, right? So it's your gut instinct. It's the way that you receive messages. It's the way that you connect to your surroundings, to the natural flows and cycles. It is innate. It is within you right from the get-go. It's wisdom and knowledge based on that you have, based on nothing that you can recall from the physical. And that goes with you from day to day. Does that make sense? So, it's your intuition. I think people understand what your intuition is. Where does that intuition come from? Again, it comes from your ability to receive, accept, acknowledge all the different things in your surrounding that are in the unseen, right? And that doesn't mean just paranormal aspects or metaphysical aspects. That means the changing of the seasons. That means the cycles of the days, weeks, years, months, right? That means your connection to nature. That's a connection to everything, the energetic connection that you have and that you hold with and from every other thing. Okay, so what we're receiving on that unseen level gets interpreted by our senses in all their different ways. And then we receive information and come to a conclusion regarding that. That's our intuition. You guys have all been walking down the street and seen something that made you, cross to the other side of the street or hold your purse a little bit tighter or, whatever it is. It's an instinct. It is a natural thing. We all have it. Okay. Some of us are able to, or willing to, we all have it, but some of us are able to work with it greater right from the get-go. Much like somebody that has a natural talent to music, playing music or singing, right? If you have two people that are learning to play the guitar and one of them picks it up and they just have more of a natural ability and natural talent, they're more musically inclined. They're learning the guitar, but it's going to be much easier for them. The other person is still learning the guitar and they can become just as masterful in that instrument. It just takes them more practice and more practical application for it to become natural. Okay? So that's intuition. And if you're, looking at expanding your intuition, I have the Discover Your Intuition course. And that takes you through 7 weeks. You can deep dive into it and open up your psychic and or mediumship abilities. But that's the basics of intuition. It's knowing things from unseen forces, right? From unseen reasons. Now, let's talk about the thinning of the veil. You guys have all heard about the thinning of the veil, right? If you think of the veil, as we use it in this scenario and terms, as a thin curtain between the human world, right, between the physical world and all that's happening around us that we can't see. It includes the fairies, your ancestors, spirits, anything that you can think of but you can't see with the human eye. During seasonal transitions, specifically spring and autumn, right? So when we're in fall and when we're in spring, those lead to the longest and the shortest days of the year. The veil becomes thinner. So what is that veil though? What do we talk about, right? Like, what is it? It's an in-between space where two things meet. So if you think about, we're going into autumn here in the Northern Hemisphere, in my area, we're going into fall, and it's a time of things moving from life into death, from things moving into brightness into darkness, right? So that's why that you see like a lot of darkness and macabre and, all that kind of stuff in the fall, right? In Halloween in the Northern Hemisphere in Samhain season, because we're transforming from the physical life to the restful and death. This is the time between two worlds when that transition is happening. It's not like one day everything is alive and green and you wake up the next day and everything is brown and dead, right? Or retreated back into restful state. It's a transition. It's a period of time that it happens. The veil is that period of time. It's where two things meet. The analogy that I like to use is if you're on a beach. I think everybody can recall a beach, right? If you're on a beach and you're standing with one foot in the sand and the other foot where the water is, you're standing in a veil. You're standing in a transitional space where one thing meets another, right? The earth meets the water. That's the veil, that space that you're in. And that space transforms into the seasonal changes as well. So the veil is thin in the fall and in the spring. So Samhain and Beltane. Those are the most powerful times of the year to be able to work your divinatory methods and magic when you're talking about connection with the other side. Okay? Because it is so apparent. The transition is so apparent. It becomes easier to allow the connections to transverse through that veil. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. So now let's talk about what you can do to help you work with your intuition. First, so one of the things that I invite people to do is to make a list of all the times when you were super intuitive and you followed your gut and it worked out well for you. Right? Like, oh, I know that I should have got that scratch off ticket at that gas station at that time. Like something told me, while you're here, you better get that one. Right? How did that work out? Something told me that I shouldn't take that way home. I should take the scenic route this time. Something told me that I should buy this gift instead of that one for my nephew. Whatever it is, all the times in which you were very intuitive and you followed your gut, because that's what you're doing when you're working with your intuition, right? You're believing in those instincts, and it was successful. When you start to do that, you really start to dive deep into yourself and knowing in a meaningful way how you connect to your intuition and that you do connect to your intuition. So here's some other things that you can do. Get a deck of tarot or oracle or kipper or playing cards or whatever it is that you want to use for intuitive. I suggest oracle and or tarot cards, and you are going to absolutely love it. If you learn to use those cards to hear the truth that you already know, because really what I do when I do my readings, I sit and I work only with spirit. When I pull out my cards at the end of my session, that is only to validate and or clarify the information that's already come through. Okay? So they're wonderful to be able to validate what it is that you're already feeling, what it is that you already know. And there's a difference between tarot and oracle, and there's a whole system. And if you want some help with that or want to, dive a little bit deeper, I have a free mini card class on YouTube. Just go to the Witchful Ways YouTube channel and you can search for it there. I think it's an hour-long class. But cards are amazing for that. Pause somewhere in your day and set a timer. If you set a timer for 2 or 3 minutes, I like 3 minutes. But when you have that moment in time, right, you've got 3 minutes, close your eyes and ask yourself for the answers of what is it that I need to know in this moment? Or what do I need to do right now to make myself feel great or better or, happier, whatever it is. And then when you close your eyes, you're just going to breathe. You don't have to concentrate on anything. You don't have to try and keep thoughts out of your head, right? You just are there, eyes closed for 3 minutes. Don't worry about what it is that comes into your head. When your timer goes off at 3 minutes, open your eyes. And if you can, write down the information, the thoughts that you had, or if you were inclined, if you felt like, oh man, I should really go for a walk, then get out and go for a walk. Next, you can make a list of all the times in which, again, you, all the way back from childhood, that you were really successful in following your intuition. And then when you have that, you're going to use that list to help you remember that you are, in fact, very intuitive, and you find that allows your confidence to be bumped up and you begin to believe more in that intuition, right? Like my I did it list. And then the other one is make a pendulum or buy one if you want to, or you can use your favorite ring or band on the end of a necklace, whatever it is, and practice centering yourself and being present with the information that you receive. And again, I believe there is a Working with a Pendulum free class on YouTube as well. I'll verify that and put it up if it's not there, but there's a whole class on that. Pendulums are amazing to work with. You program your pendulum to be able to let you know what yes, no, maybe, and don't ask, or to find lost things and things like that. So those are ways that you can work with your intuition. How do you go about solidifying to yourself that it's your intuition that has given you the amazing advice and information and guidance, right? Because our intuition also is fed from our spirit guides and our higher self. So in using and tuning into your intuition and believing in your intuition, you allow yourself to open up to the messages and the guidance that your spirit family and team has for you. Okay. So when we talk about thinning of the veil, how do you get into the feeling of that? For this time of year, I suggest you go for a walk in the woods or in a nature, if you, have a, prairie path in the backyard or something, go for a walk in the woods, something in nature. And especially if you can get into a cemetery and walk through the cemetery, this is an amazing time of year for that. It's not creepy, right? And you don't have to do it like at midnight or 10 o'clock at night, not even when it's dark. Go at, 10 o'clock in the morning, go at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, whatever. But take your time and go through and process the feelings that you receive as you're walking through the cemetery. Then you can sit with a tree in your yard or your favorite park or anywhere else that has a tree, your neighbor's yard, as long as they don't think you're too weird, I suppose, and see what you can receive from the tree. And when I say that, a lot of times people go, oh my gosh, here comes the tree huggers. That's not what I'm saying. But if you just sit and allow yourself to connect with your back to a tree, you will find that you have way more nature intuition that comes to you. And if you delve into the land of and the world of Fae, that is one of the most powerful ways to be able to get Fae to open up their world to you, right? Because it's up to them. Okay, sit with your tree. Write a letter to a loved one who has passed away. Light a candle for them. Ask for a sign or a message from them, something that will show you that they're around. Writing a letter to a loved one is an amazing way also to break ties. So if there's something that was going on with a past crossed over person, remember when the person crosses over, they lose all egotistical, humanistic, kind of traits. All that stuff falls away. There's no more hate. There's no more regret. There's no more grudges. There's none of that. There is nothing but all-consuming love. So if you continue to hold a grudge against someone that has passed over, right? You keep thinking like, oh, I can't believe that person did me wrong. I'm so glad that they don't feel that way anymore. They have nothing against you, anything that you did. They have been resolved of the issue that created whatever the disturbance was between you and that person, right? Like, they have nothing but ultimate love for you. So if you are carrying around grudges and resentment and remorse and all that kind of stuff with somebody that's crossed over, that is only adding to your emotional baggage. You're the only one that can release you of that. And Samhain is an amazing time to be able to release the ties that we have to the people that we hold on to from the past. And that's really what Samhain is about, right? It's honoring the ancestors, and especially those that crossed over in this previous year. It's a time for us to say thank you, a time for us to say everything that and anything that we have to say to that person, and then we let them go. And we carry forward only with the lessons that we learned from them, the experience of knowing them, and anything that they've taught us, right? So this is a great time to be able to do that. To connect with your past and your future self, look for patterns and things that need releasing to create that future that you desire. So if you are one that, again, likes to dive into the land of the Fae or work with magical beings or creatures, now's the perfect time to do that, to live and to act like they are absolutely as real as you are, because it's in that interaction that the connection, the energetic connection actually occurs. So if you're looking at working with your spirit guide and connecting with your spirit guide or your guardian angel or any other spirit that you want to work with, this is an amazing time to do that because the veil is so thin. And when you take yourself back to a childlike state and work with your imagination, where you build, even if it's an entire reality that you've built, where you go and you sit with dragons or whatever it is, you're able to interact with that. You create that. And now is the time to pick up that astral energy that is so easily grasped by a lot of people that have trouble at other times of the year because the veil being so thin. So it's a great time for exploration. It's a great time for connection. It's a great time for opening up your divination as well. So hopefully that gave you a little bit of insight into your intuition and into what the thinning of the veil actually means. Like, what do we mean when we say that, right? And then ways that you can kind of sit into the season, lean into it and explore it, whether or not you are bringing out your total witchy side. Thank you for allowing me to connect with you again for another Witchful Ways podcast. Hopefully you're in the Witchful Ways Facebook group. Used to be the Living a Magical Life Facebook group, but for ease of continuity, it is now the Witchful Ways Facebook group. So make sure that you're in there because I share all kinds of stuff. And then again, if you want to start working with your oracle or tarot cards, check out the YouTube mini class that I have on intuitive reading for tarot and oracle. Have a wonderfully magical rest of your day.